TSA guy pulls the backpack out. Is this your backpack? You get that? Is it your backpack? Don't you feel like a terrorist for just 1 second? You're like, well, I got a couple Joe Biden jokes we can get into because this is going to be about it with me and Joe Biden jokes. I think we're pretty much coming to the end of our run here. But still got a couple left for you guys, and I'm sure you're not fans, so this should work. I've never talked to my son about his business ever. Well, that makes you a bad dad. So Joe is, he's getting a little up there. And, at the end, I think they wanted him to stay on the prompter, right? Because when he got off the prompter, he got into trouble. But even when he stayed on the prompter, he got into trouble. Remember that speech? 4 more years. Pause. That's not Joe's fault. Someone put the word pause on the prompter. If it's on the prompter, he's saying it. That's where he's at, okay? He's in the full Ron Burgundy stages of life. He'd be like, we hold these truths to be self-evident. Samsung. They got into trouble because he stayed on too long and it didn't give Kamala enough time to prepare to run for the presidency. And people are angry at Joe for not dropping out earlier. I had a surefire way to get him to drop out early and never go for his second term, but nobody would listen to me. All I needed to do is get 3 or 4 people from his inner circle together. And I'd go, you don't want this doddering old fool running for a second term, do you? And they'd go, no, but he's not going to listen to us. He's doing it anyway. Just listen to me. Get on the same page. This is going to work. When he says, I'm running for a second term, you say, but this is your second term. And he'd be like, get out of here, you dog-faced lion pony soldier boy. And you go, sir, this is your second term. And you go, no, it's not. And he goes, sir, with all due respect, do you think you could have screwed the country up this badly in 3 years? Come on. That's a 7-year project right there. Come on. You're bad. You're not Jimmy Carter bad, okay? Get over yourself. Poor Jimmy Carter wasn't in office for 44 years, but every once in a while, when a really bad president would come down the pike, he'd have to turn on the news and see Sean Hannity's fat head going, we haven't seen this kind of gross incompetence since Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter's sitting home going, I build houses for black people. Leave me out of this. He had a little issue with his dog, too, Commander. Remember Commander was biting everyone at the White House, and so they had to have the dog removed. And I was picturing a scene where a couple of Secret Service agents were just standing outside the Oval Office, and Joe was saying goodbye to Commander for the last time, and the one Secret Service guy turned to the other guy and said, you think they're going to put him down? The other guy went, I don't know. Well, what are they going to do with the dog? You guys remember about 20 years ago when George W. Bush was given that presser in Iraq and that guy threw the shoes at him from the back of the room? He pulled his shoe off and he fired a strike, man. Just a fastball right over the plate. And W was like, pop. Then he pulled a second shoe off a second later and he fired another strike right over the plate. And he was like, boom, pop. And I thought, man, yeah, that was pretty regal. He didn't flail, he didn't turn, he didn't do anything. He just slipped both those loafers, you know? Tassel, tassel. And I thought, I miss those days. Because you throw a shoe at Joe Biden, you will kill the man. You throw a shoe at Joe Biden, he's going to be the rotunda on Sunday, and you'll be Leavenworth for the rest of your life. And I don't even think it would take a dress shoe. I think one well-placed slipper. One of Mike Lindell's, rugged yet handsome. But I was watching that tape of the guy throwing the shoe, and he was in the back of an auditorium. He was like 50 feet away, pulled one shoe off, fired it, and then he pulled the next one off on the run and fired another strike right over the plate. And I was like, look, you may disagree with that guy politically, but he had a cannon for an arm. Give him his due, man. That guy played ball, right? And I was like, that guy played ball in high school. I used to play baseball. I was like, okay, that guy played Little League, Pony League, probably some high school ball, because you don't pick that throwing motion up in your 40s. That's from when you're a little tyke, you know? I was like, yeah, he definitely grew up playing ball. And I was like, whoa, wait a second. It's Iraq. It's the Middle East. They don't play baseball there. They play soccer. They kick the ball. They don't throw the ball. And I was like, where did that guy get that magnificent throwing motion? Oh, he's been stoning women since he was 6. He was probably his village's champion stoner of women. They would go to him when he was a lad. They'd go to his hut and be like, Habib, we caught some lady reading. Yeah, bring your gravel. I had a whole life for this guy worked out. I figured he got recruited to Hamas right out of high school, had an injury, had to get the Tommy Jihad surgery during the off-season. They kicked him down to AAA. ISIS picked him up. He flamed out. Never saw the show. Trump is sailing along. I think he got elected in large part because of the whole lawfare thing, right? Remember, kept hauling him into court, get his mugshot taken, come out, get more popular, right? Each time they tried to throw a charge on him, he'd come out and get more popular, right? And I'm watching CNN, and they're sitting there and they're going, I think we're turning him into a martyr. I think he's getting more popular every time we try to take him down. And it's, by the way, it's the first time I ever agreed with CNN. I was like, yeah, that's what's going on. You're turning the guy into a martyr, but not a traditional martyr. Traditionally, when you think about martyr, you think about Jesus Christ or Gandhi, skinny guys in sandals. No one has ever said, where's the martyr? I don't know, if you tried the back nine at Pebble. He could be in his private jet eating Chick-fil-A. We don't know. I did Celebrity Apprentice, and they told me, they go, the very last challenge we're doing, you got to roast Donald Trump. And I was like, okay. So I'll tell you the joke I told that night. I said, people ask me, what's Donald Trump like in real life? I say, picture Don King, but with crazier hair and a broken moral compass. And the hair, you got to see the hair in real life. You guys see it on TV, you see pictures, but you got to see it in real life. In real life, it's alive. It has lungs, it undulates, it breathes. You ever see footage of an underwater kelp bed? Clownfish darting in and out. Kamala's not bright. And I didn't know if she was bright or not, but I did see her doing a presser. Remember she did this one, it was about 2 or 3 years ago. She went to an electric car charging facility and she was demonstrating it and she was like, what do we do? And the guy's like, we just take it and you just plug it in and the car charges. And she was like, oh, okay. And then she plugged it in and she just stood there holding it. Like Grandpa was topping off the Oldsmobile at the Phillips 66 back in the day. You know, she just stood there. And the poor guy was like going, yeah, we can see over here. And she goes, well, no, I can't because I can't. After 5 minutes, the guy literally said, you can let it go. I pray she never gets an electric car. She's going to be in the garage all night. And her husband's going to be like, Kamala, come up for dinner. And she's like, I got 13 more hours here. Trump's getting all the ICE guys to go out and raid everywhere now, you know? And yeah, good for him. Good. Let's get the criminals, the illegal criminals off the street. But they keep saying it's dangerous because a lot of the wokesters in Washington and the FBI and CIA and everything, they're tipping off these people. And now apparently it's dangerous because they go in to raid one of these places and the people already know they're coming and someone's going to get hurt. I came up with a way to get all the dangerous criminal illegals to come to us. We would not have to raid the apartment building. They would just show up all in the same place. Just pick a day. Every major city with a basketball arena would just put a sign out front that said, free cockfights for Raiders fans only. You just arrest everyone who walks into that building. Yeah, we'll grab a couple of deadbeat dads along the way, so be it. You guys, do you have the biker attorney out here? The attorney that specializes in the motorcycle cases, the accidents? Yeah, we got one in LA. Now our guy, I don't know if your guy does this on his billboards or his commercials, but our guy dresses up like a biker. And he does those commercials, got the Harley in the back, he's got the leathers and the leather vest, and he's like, I fight for you because I ride. I ride too, I'm one of you, and I protect you. And I was like, I hate this guy. Because I don't think he rides. But also, on the off chance this case ever finds its way inside of a courtroom, I don't want to be represented by the Seventh Village person. So I start getting angry, you know, and I'm like, screw this guy. I don't like this guy. He's a poser. And then I catch myself and I go, just relax. So what? Maybe he rides. These are his clients. These are the people he represents. Leave the guy alone. And I thought to myself, okay, but are there any other attorneys who dress in the outfit of the clients they represent? You ever see a commercial where the guy's like, hi, I'm attorney Harold Jacobson, defense attorney from Washington, D.C. You're probably wondering why I'm wearing this fur helmet with Viking horns on it. Where I'm from, in L.A., we got all the electronic freeway signs. You guys get out to L.A.? We have millions and millions of dollars of these elaborate electronic freeway signs. You guys have them out here? I was telling you something. It's a lot of information because a lot of millions of people traveling under those signs, especially in LA. But our signs never say anything but click it or ticket. That's all they got. It's been a decade of click it or ticket. By the way, they could sell those signs to Dr. Pepper and we could solve the debt problem. Instead of telling you what to do because your car has been telling you to do the same thing for the last 45 minutes, right? You try to back down your driveway without putting your seatbelt on and your dashboard has an epileptic seizure, right? There's no way you're making it on the freeway and be like, oh, yeah, this big chime and the light strobing in my face. Yeah, okay, now, thanks for the heads up. So it's a complete waste of time. And what I'm saying is why not put something on that sign we could use as a society, something that would make a difference? Wouldn't even have to be automotive related. It could just read, floss. Gingivitis is a real problem in LA. I bet people would start flossing at that time. Or just something that would save, some gas, inflate your tires, or maybe a little something more esoteric, like something a little more psychological, like stop blaming your parents. You'd see people weeping in the car next to you. I was pulling off the freeway. I was at a stoplight in Santa Monica, California, and I looked over, and there was a homeless guy sitting there, older guy, and he's just sitting there, and he had a sign that said, homeless and deaf. And I thought, I've never seen that before. And I kind of looked at him, and I started to think, like, okay, normally it's like, I'm not going to give you money so you can go buy drugs, but this guy's deaf, and maybe he has a real situation, and maybe I should be, a little more magnanimous. So I kind of looked at the guy, and he looked at me, and I went, yeah, okay. And he came over, and I rolled the window down, and I started fishing around my ashtray, get a few bucks out for the guy, and I thought, let me just check something real quick. And I just leaned on the horn, and this guy jumped back 5 feet. And I was like, you ain't deaf, and I ain't dumb. You guys watching TV? But you guys all fast forward past the commercials now, don't you? Right? No, don't do it. Don't do it. Watch the commercials. I'm not kidding. Watch the commercials, because the commercials are a 30-second slice of life of where we're at, where our society is at. They capture society. You think about commercials we grew up with, 70s, 80s, housewives going into shame spirals because their husband didn't want a second cup of coffee. Could you imagine bringing that up to the old lady? I'm a little disappointed in your coffee. Yeah, go to the Starbucks, idiot. But it is indicative of where we are when we're at it, because commercials can't jar people. They have to go, oh, yeah, that's about right. And when I was young, I would stay home from school. I lived in the San Fernando Valley in Los Angeles. And, mid-70s, tell my mom I was sick, stay home from the 4th grade. And I would just sit and watch TV all day. And first things first, the joke was on me, because our TV set was a 13-inch black and white Zenith. You know what I'm talking about? Our TV was deeper than it was wide. My son's got a 65-inch TV that's a quarter-inch thick. Do you know what that ratio is compared to my childhood? I had 13 across, 44 deep. It was like staring into a poster tube. It's a rolling, delayed laugh. I like that. So I'd sit there and I would watch daytime TV commercials in the 70s, and every commercial that came on was for a trucking school. It was the Wally Thorpe School of Trucking. It was the Dootson School of Trucking. It was all about learning to drive a big rig. And every commercial was like, make good money, get your license, drive a big rig, see the open road, make your family proud, bring that money home, support your family, and live with dignity. And I was like, yeah. And then I thought to myself the other day, I was like, why was every commercial I watched as a kid for a truck driving school? And then I realized, if it was Tuesday and it was noon and you were at home, you needed a job. But I was like, I don't see these commercials anymore. Every commercial I see now during daytime TV is for a class action lawsuit, right? Attorneys representing, did you work in the shipbuilding industry? Do you got mesothelioma? Did you work at Camp Lejeune? Don't get off the sofa. Don't put down the Funyuns. Don't learn how to drive a truck. Don't get a job. You sit there getting fatter and angrier, and we'll bring the mountain to Muhammad. Not a good sign for our society. And I was picturing, what are these commercials going to look like 10 years from now, you know? Hi, I'm attorney Mark Garrigus III. Were you wrongfully terminated from the workplace? Did your boss want you to do stuff? Did he expect you to come in Mondays, noonish, and do stuff? I'll sue his butt. You guys may have seen a bit I do called Rich Man, Poor Man. Or possibly not. But good news, I'm gonna set it up. You sycophants, you. Finishing my jokes for me. All right, here's what Rich Man, Poor Man is. It's stuff that rich people and poor people have in common, but not the middle class, okay? And I thought of this years ago. I was thinking about an outdoor shower. I think, oh yeah, rich people take an outdoor shower by the pool, you know, in the cabana and everything, and poor people take it on their lawn with a hose, right? But it's not a middle class thing. Okay, so this is Rich Man, Poor Man. You spend Thanksgivings at a soup kitchen. Well, you're like Floyd Money Mayweather handing out turkeys, or you're getting free food, right? But it's not middle class. You're on a first name basis with the judge. It's either the locker room at the golf club, or you're in front of the guy for the 5th time in as many weeks. Police escort you out of the stadium. All right, now, some of these are more difficult than others. You use a shovel on a construction site. You're the mayor and the developer with the silver shovel. Quick photo op, then hand it to a Mexican. You do a lot of rowing. Either you're on the crew team at Yale, or you're in an inner tube trying to get from Cuba to Florida. You have the key to the executive bathroom. Well, either you're an executive or you're cleaning up skid marks for a living. You have a refrigerator in your yard. It's either at the outdoor kitchen or it's in the front yard getting rusty. You have a live-in maid. Well, either you're the rich guy with the live-in maid or you're the poor guy and that's your wife. You advertise condominiums. You're either the developer who built the condominiums or you're the dude with the cardboard sign. Standing on the corner, sweating through his jeans. Rich man, poor man. When people ask, where is he? Other people say, I think he's in his trailer. You're either George Clooney on set, or you live in a trailer. You've built your home using reclaimed materials. It's either beautiful oak from a barn, or it's a yield sign and a pallet. All right, and last but not least, rich man, poor man, you have your own fragrance. You're either Johnny Depp or it's Tipperillos and B.O. Got people here who like to drink a little bit? No? Moving on to the next joke. Well, that was my closer, so hey, you guys have been awesome. You guys know anybody who likes to drink a little bit? Now we're talking. I know, this guy's on his third knee high, and the room's starting to spin. Well, I like to drink a little bit, and I was traveling during COVID. And during COVID, remember everyone was getting out of control on the flights? They were fighting on the flights because everyone was angry and they were yelling at everyone to put the mask on and everything. It was a horrible time for commercial air travel, but it varied a lot. Like, it depended where your flight crew was from. Like, if you got a flight crew who was based in Houston, no problemo. You get some 6-year-old chick and she just go, sit there, wear the mask, don't wear the mask. I'm gonna sit in this jumper seat and smoke. We're probably not gonna make it. But the worst 7 words you could hear on a flight during COVID times was, on behalf of your Seattle-based flight crew, oh, this 26-year-old with the nose stud and the Fauci candle is going to be on me this entire flight. Entire flight. So they were like, people are getting rowdy on the plane, and we may take the booze off the plane. And I'm like, okay, hold on. You can't take my medicine off these flights. I'm not flying during COVID without a pop, you know. So somebody said to me, why don't you just fill up a flask? And I thought, now you're talking. Now, if you are going to fill a flask for an early morning flight, I'm here to tell you, do it the night before. You do not want to see what I saw looking back at me at 5:15 in the morning. Picture me in my underpants, standing over my bathroom sink with a bottle of wild turkey and a mini funnel, trying to fill this thing up, and at some point I look up and I go, you're all Central Valley first team. What happened? Yuck. Do it the night before. So, get to LAX, got an 8 a.m. flight out. So we're going through security at 7 a.m. LAX Friday. Go through there, get through the end. TSA guy pulls the backpack out. Is this your backpack? You get that? Is that your backpack? Don't you feel like a terrorist for just 1 second? You're like, I'm like, if I do a shoulder roll and dive through that plate glass window, I could start a new life in Mexico. I go, yeah, that's my backpack. Because I gotta go through here. Anything sharp in here? I go, just cat food can lids from the 70s. Goes through the backpack, pulls the flask out. Looks at the bottom, 7.0 ounces. He goes, the maximum is 3.5 ounces. So I go, yeah, that's why those towers are gone. Somebody had an extra shot of wild turkey on that. I go, okay, so what are we going to do? We got to throw it away? It's got my initials in it, He goes, no. We don't have to throw it away. You got to dump half of it out. All right. Guess we're back to the math here. All right, I'll just dump half of it out. He goes, no, not here. You got to go back out through security. Go back out through security, dump half of it out, then come back through security again. And I'm such an alcoholic, I'm like, all right, I'm doing it. So I tell the guy I'm traveling with, just take my backpack and take my suit, take everything I got. I got my boarding pass, I got my flask, I'm going back out. So I go back out into General Pop, and I get to the trash can he was pointing at, and I'm like, ugh, what's half? What's 3.5? And I look, and I'm like, oh, this guy's distracted over there patting down an elderly amputee. He's not looking for me. I'm like, all right, well, I'm not flying this airplane, What does 3.5 ounces taste like, And I'm like, there's no viewing port. I don't have a dipstick. I'm like, I'm not doing this again, I'm like shaking my head, standing there talking to myself. I got spittle coming out. I'm on an empty stomach. I got a nice buzz going down. I'm angry, I'm agitated. Like, what's going on with this world? What do we come to? And I look up, and there's people filming me with their phones. And they're on the phone, and they're like, Carolla's drinking by a trash can at the airport. Yeah, it's 7:10 in the morning. And he's, where's he going? He doesn't have luggage. He's just drinking by a trash can. Kimmel's hosting the Oscars for a 4th time. Carolla's drinking by a trash can at the airport. So I get back in line. I go back into security, and now I'm just standing there smelling like booze, agitated, broken. I'm a broken man, I got the women behind me with the Lululemons and the yoga mats who think they're better than all of us. Give him room. Give him a room. He's got no luggage, just a flask. You want to get on the terrorist watch list, travel alone with a flask. You'll bump off one-way ticket to Beirut, guy. So I'm standing there, I get in line, I just put the flask in the basket, right? Now the guy who knows the story is on the other side. That guy's over there. People over here just see a C-list comedian traveling alone with a flask. You know, I'm like, you can get socks and a toothbrush anywhere. Makes the loneliest pilgrimage ever. Just the flask and the dog bowl, you know. Just at some point, it makes it into the doghouse. You know, I'm like, okay. Then it stops and the guy backs it up, you know. Oh, did anyone in this airport miss the saddest tableau of all, the new face of alcoholism? And I have women like standing behind me, like making room, like, you got the rest? No luggage, just a flask. So it goes all the way through. We get to the other side. There's a TSA guy standing there, and he just like looks down. He looks at me, and he's like, you got more luggage? I'm like, just a flask. He's like, have a safe flight. I go, you don't want to weigh it. You want to weigh it? No, I'm good. And at that moment, I came up with a foolproof way, because these guys are dumb. A foolproof way for you guys to get as much booze as you want through any airport in the United States. You could get a 55-gallon drum full of Jägermeister through an airport if you just stamp 3.5 ounces on the lid. Thanks, you guys, for coming out tonight. Thank you.